everyone. For the October 23rd Toastmasters meeting, please raise our hands for our President, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Again, I'm the only female in the room today. It happened once before, 2 years ago. And it feels great. You feel empowered. You feel like you are a queen, even though nobody votes for you. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. We have 1 week left before the hours change, right? That we would not see that darkness that much anymore at 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning. That means that 1 week left, and then we change into, right now it should be 6, right? And then it's 1 hour ahead. Yeah. Okay. So it should be less, overwhelming, intimidating to get up early to Wednesday morning. At the same time, I always feel Wednesday is a reminder for you that you already been the middle of the week. You had just 3 days left before the weekend, so taking work more productive, do whatever priorities of the week that you need to finish, and have a good start for preparing for the weekend to be more relaxing, more fun feeling with your families or relatives. And in the past, I think 4 months, we've been doing activities with our club. It's also a reminder that the current team just have about 1 more month. And thanks again for Harun to taking up and taking the role of treasurer from Apan. That is one of the change. And we have 1 month left only to fulfill whatever we need to do with our current VP roles, even myself, president, right? Whatever I feel that I need to do for the club, we wrap up and then do it well, so that it's just 1 week, 1 month left, so that we can transfer that to the new current officer role. Because today we don't have any guests, so let's all get right in the advocator role today, and let's all rise up and listen to Harun to speak about the theme of today, driving for change.
Today's theme about thriving on change is something that's very resonates a lot with a lot of people around here in this part of the world. This area thrives on changing things. It challenges assumptions. About it. Sort of forces you to think about the way you think about yourself. It's not only think about the world and the world around you, and the world, how you can change things. But there's also a danger here that in all of that thinking, there is a sort of a bubble here that sort of everybody kind of exists in. We kind of think that the world is constantly changing. But when you step out, the world is not changing. People are kind of stuck in their ways. They're not taking advantages of the great technological changes that a lot of people are creating in this part in Silicon Valley. So I would urge all of you to think about that, how we can take all of those changes and to bring that to the world outside, and to sort of convince them that what we do over here in Silicon Valley is actually worthwhile and actually can be a force for good. Thank you.
Thank you, Harun. I really like what Harun just shared. Sometimes there are two ways of thinking about Silicon Valley, right? Some people think that, Silicon Valley is so hype because the Silicon Valley people think high about themselves. Or because whatever technology trending, right, is not convert into that easy to understand to the people, to the rest of the world. We're talking about some very good products or piece, but what if the people outside the world, they don't understand completely about it? So that somehow Silicon Valley is really popular to the rest of the world, and sometimes I do feel like we're a little bit isolated to the world as well. So thriving with change, help people to understand about us better, and also ourselves to adapt with the change with where we are right now is the message that Harun shared with us today. With that being said, I would like to introduce the Toastmaster of the day, Wai Ming, to further on theme today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wai Ming.
Jennifer. So today it looks like we're gonna have one speaker.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you still only have 5 to 7.
Speak for 30.
You still only have 5 to 7 minutes. Unless you ask for longer. In any case, we're gonna go over the roles. The R counter is Jose. Jose, will you tell us what the role of the R counter is?
I'll be the R counter. I'll be counting extraneous words that you may not want in your speech, such as okay. So repeated words when you double say your I or any other words. It's worth 5 cents per infraction to a maximum of 50 cents. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you, Jose. Timer is Mohammed.
Good morning, I'm the timer. So what I'm going to do, I just keep the time, and for speeches, Jennifer, you have 5 to 7 minutes, evaluation 3 minutes, and table topic 2 minutes left. You have 2 minutes left. I show the green sign, then 2 minutes and 1 minute left yellow, and after that, when the time is up, I use red, and 30 seconds after that, I will use the bell. Yep.
Thank you, Mohammed. And our word master is Harun.
Morning, Toastmasters. Our word of the day is manifest. Manifest is, and can be used as an adjective, to be clear or obvious to the eye or mind. For example, Ray manifested signs of great talent in playing a violin. Or it can be used as a verb, display or show a quality. Bad industrial relations are often manifested in disputes and strikes. So please use this word in any kind of usage that you have whenever you get an opportunity to speak in a speech or table topics, and I'll be keeping track of how many times you use this word, if you use this word or not, and at the end of the meeting I'll report back on the statistics of what the usage was. Thank you.
Thank you. And our grammarian is Tony.
Yeah. So as a grammarian, I will track down all the grammar mistakes. So the popular one may be missing or misuse of the articles, the mix between past and present tenses, on also the missing ending sounds of the s and es of the different types of words, and I will carry down those after the speech.
Thank you. I meant the ballot counter being Harun. Do you know the ballot counter?
As ballot counter, I will be keeping a tally. I will collect all your feedback, all your votes that you have in the voting slip ballots in front of you. Please rank the speakers and pass them along to me, and I will make a tally of it and report back on who's the best speaker, who in your judgment is the best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluator.
Thank you. And our video master is
Jose.
Jose.
I'll be video master. This video is recording at the moment. It will be downloaded to YouTube later. If you don't want to be part of it, I could edit or I could swing it away from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. So now we're on to the first section of the meeting, which is prepare speeches, and we're gonna have our president, Jennifer, to come up and talk about a particular interesting topic called the Holland Code. She's gonna be speaking from the freestyle manual. Let's welcome.
I will be our evaluator.
The evaluator is Mohammed.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I switched it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wani.
Thank you.
Don't timing me yet, because when we were talking about what project I'm gonna choose, I quickly went on Toastmaster and searched about the pathway. So one of those 11 pathway is the persuasive influence. So I would like to choose that. Yeah, VP, you can, because if we keep delaying, then I don't know when I will start the pathway. So let's do it right today, and then keep record of that later. The elective project that I chose is dynamic leadership, I think, and bullet is how to prepare to speak professionally. Who's my evaluator?
Mohammed.
Okay, yeah, is prepare to speak professionally.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever. Okay, so start timing me now.
Okay, so let me.
Good morning, everyone. How many of us here are 100% happy with your job right now? Nobody? Nobody? Seriously? I didn't prepare for this. And what if years ago, when you first graduate from college, there was a test that helped you to identify what occupational group that you best fit? Today, I introduce you about the Holland Code. You might be curious now. Around the room, you see some letters. It seems like a code, mysterious, around you for you to take a look. So why Holland Code? Unlike before, people really talk about how to find the career that best fit for you. And the word passion is repeatedly so many times. People used to encourage you to find the passion and then choose the career that follow that path. But the experience that I have, and also for many changes nowadays, the passion is not emphasized that much anymore. But other than that, people encourage you to find the job that best utilizes your skills, the job that demands you the most, and also try to learn to fall in love with that. So passion is actually number third now. First is skills, demand, and then passion. So the Holland Code is actually developed by Professor Holland. He's a PhD, and he spent a lot of time in analyzing and come up with this code. How do you can find this code yourself? There's a test called SDS, Self-Direct Search. It's online. It has a free version I will send to our WhatsApp group. But there's also a paid version of $9.95 to help you to find the 3 codes that best identify you. And with 3 codes that best reflect on how you are, what you think, what's your strength, then there will be a group of career that will best fit you. So what in it for you? First, it helps you to understand better about yourself. You understand better about your team member, your spouse, your friends, the people you work with or you live with. And why is that? For example, with myself, after I take this SDS test, I realized that my code, the letter that represents me the most is E, and it stands for enterprising. This is the type of people who like to lead, who like to influence people. This is the type of person that have the tendency to avoid analytical thinking or dealing with numbers or complicated things. This type of people that avoid having conflict but try to make people happy and lead people with influence. So that is E. Or for example, with my co-founder Tony, he's an I, so it's an investigate. He like to solve problem. He like to see things, analyze things. So with Tony in my team, I will hand over all the problem to him so that he can solve it. We also understand better about weakness. For example, with Tony, I keep picking on him because he took the test with me. With Tony, he doesn't have the C in his result, which C is conventional organizer. This is someone who really like to organize things, who really like to work with numbers, who really hand on the allocate meetings, schedule, organizing your team members. So with knowing that Tony doesn't have a C, I gradually in the past couple of weeks learned to prep me with the C so that I don't handle all the tasks that need schedule to Tony, because that might make the delay in the work that we do. So with that being said, Holland Code is something that I feel that I learned much better about myself, about my team, and be able to put the people in the task or in their occupation or in the role that really help them to unleash their potential and work best in what they do. I encourage you to also take the test and understand much deeper about yourself. And in case you are not 100% happy with where you are right now, find that skill, that demand, and last, that passion to really evolve in your career path. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You miss it. Oh, dang it.
Wait, this is great. We're gonna have a second speaker. Wow, that's marvelous.
Oh, she's the second speaker.
She's
Yay.
second. Yeah, well, we reversed the order, so but that's okay.
By the
Thank
way,
you.
this is the SDS test.
SDS
Not
test.
in paper, not in online. Yeah.
Please give ourselves a minute to provide feedback to Jennifer. This is your phone too. And the way you do it is, if you look at each letter, it could have meaning and it manifests itself. At least it tries to explain how you manifest yourself when you look at a particular letter, like the letter R, try to figure out what that is. So, you have the opportunity when you do table topics. Hopefully we'll have table topics.
Sure.
So now we're gonna have our second speaker, Hannah, who's gonna speak on a particular topic, but she needs to set up the laptop. So let me set it up first. back, it's the cable. Always have problems. Turn it off and turn it on again.
Oh,
It worked?
that's something.
Our connector stolen.
Okay,
Oh,
there
yeah,
we go.
yeah, yeah.
something.
Maybe it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, finally it came on. So, we're gonna,
It's gone.
Just because the
Connection.
yeah,
might
yeah,
be.
it's not firm. So, yeah. Well, I guess I'll do my speech next week.
Yeah, it's.
There you go.
okay, don't touch it.
Oh, it turned off again though.
No. Very unstable.
Is it? I have 4 ports, but I think it's the.
I don't think it's from the laptop. It's probably on the TV.
On the TV?
The other end.
Oh. Well, let's switch.
Oh.
I'm gonna switch to a different port.
Now you got to switch channels too.
I
right?
know.
So
It's not 3, it's 1. Oop. Yeah, go too fast. One more.
oh yeah, let's do that.
No, that was TV. No, this is,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
good.
go.
This is good.
This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Now let's just walk away very, very slowly.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
We're gonna welcome our second speaker, Hannah, who's gonna speak about the President of the United States.
I don't know why the title did that. That's so weird. Okay.
And the President of the United States is 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And
I might
is it-
ask for extra time.
How much time do you want? 6 to 8?
Yes.
8 to 10?
I'll do 6 to 8.
6
Eight.
to 8 minutes. And are you speaking from the manual?
No.
Okay, you're using the freestyle manual. Very good.
Freestyle, yeah.
Let's welcome Hannah.
Uh-oh. Did it go out again? Sheesh.
No, no,
It
okay.
just like
Yeah.
flashed. Okay.
You're
Well,
very-
I don't know why the title didn't load, but good morning, Toastmasters
Yeah,
and
it is.
esteemed guests. We're definitely having some
Yeah.
technology problems. But I wanted to name my speech just my presidential campaign. And it can be theoretical, it can be comedic, you can take this. Hopefully it might be a dream that might manifest in the future, maybe 2030 or 2040. But as many of you know, one of my dreams growing up in elementary school, like 4th to 6th grade, was being the president of the United States. And of course my mom was like, oh, you know, you're a young lady, you can do it, no problem. And I got older and I was like, wow, I can't do this. But if I was the president of the United States, I wanted to give you a glimpse of what my campaign would be and what my focus would be for the country. And so this is my theoretical presidential campaign. And so when my dream began, of course, in elementary school, like I said, 4th to 6th grade, I wanted to be the first female president of the United States. And this started back in Fremont, California, Warwick Elementary. Actually, I did have an opportunity to run for class president that year, in 2006th grade. And of course, I had some fierce competition. I had some popular kids in my class. And they were like, you're never gonna win it, nobody likes you, you're the quiet kid, you know, you never speak up in class, you're always like the one in the back of the class. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna challenge myself to write a paragraph and write an essay and make a speech in front of like the whole entire school and run for class president in 6th grade. And so I did. And of course my tagline was, remember the banana and vote for Hannah. Now, in the end of my essay, when I said that last line, nobody laughed. And nobody made a reaction. So here I was, 6th grade, with a piece of paper, reading my speech, and I said this tagline, and nobody laughed. The room went silent. And then it killed my dreams of being the president of the United States. So I gave up at that point, and I said, forget it. I either want to be a businesswoman or
gonna do something in business or management. And so that killed my dream of being the president of the United States. But today I'm here to bring that dream back, guys. And then so right here, I love this quote and I love this meme that I saw online. And so of course this is gonna be very meme focused too as well. And then I'm gonna have some good facts. But over here, it's like, it's not the left problem, it's not the right problem. It's kind of like an everybody problem, right? A country full of problems is a country that needs better leaders to solve all these problems. And so I love this quote by Martin Luther King, where you kind of got to be the leader in the majority and in the population in the United States. And then so I'm going to show you just a little bit about my campaign and also why I'm very passionate about some of these things. And I don't know why it's showing up like this, but it doesn't look like that on the screen. All right, so like I said, the real American dream, right? What is the American dream? A lot of people in the room here either came from families or their family came to the country, or maybe their families have been around for generations, right? We're not all native here unless you're Native Americans, which some of you might be. But everyone came here, their family came here with a dream, for the American dream essentially. And what was that American dream? Well, right now I think it's a little bit unclear. My focus for this campaign, or for my presidential campaign, is quality of education, quality of life and health, and quality of overall environment, just the environment that we live in, but also environment as a whole, nature, things like that, quality of air and quality of life. And so hopefully you can see this, but quality of education. So one of my first campaign points is we're becoming highly educated. Every time I go to Starbucks and Pete's Coffee, you'd be surprised how many people I meet that have a master's or a doctor's degree. And they're working at the coffee shop, and I was like, wait, what kind of education system is this? You know, we're highly educated, but where's the opportunity? So we're focusing on higher education, but in reality, we also have a problem with financial education, right? The number of higher degree holders have grown, but what about financial education? Where's California rank on this right here? Some of you might be able to see it, some of you might not. But in the country, in the US, there's only 5 states that are financially educated that get a higher rating in financial education. California, where do you think it stands? It's in the F range. And it's one of the highest contributors to GDP in the country. Over $3 trillion, if not more, growing, that's contributing to the gross domestic product in the United States. We're one of the highest contributing states, and yet we're one of the lowest ranked in financial education. And so I think that's a disparity right there, and that's one of my campaign points. What about quality of life and health? That keeps going out. I don't know if you guys can see that. But this is the cost of EpiPens. I don't know if you guys have seen some of that cost going up, or people online that are like, it's outrageous how much it costs for an EpiPen. And now you hear it from moms that I work with as well, where kids in their class were like, you know, they have to have an EpiPen on them, or they need an EpiPen here and they need an EpiPen there, and it's like over $600 per pen. And that's crazy. And look at some of the healthcare costs in other countries. I know this keeps going out. But there's a huge disparity right here. Look at all these other countries that we consider, you know, not even to par to America, yet their healthcare costs are like significantly lower. And so what's going on in America with healthcare costs? Now, population aging. Some statistics come out about how many people are retiring per day. We have a baby boomer generation. That means a lot of people are getting older and a lot of people are retiring. That impacts a lot of different things. One of the things I saw in my real estate career was a lot of people, they were either outliving their money or they had to sell their home because they couldn't afford long-term care costs. And so this is just a breakdown of how much it costs us right here, $90,000 per year. If you're paying $90,000 per year for in-home care and you're retired, you know, and you're not working, where are you getting that money from? Right? And so I see this as a huge problem as well, population aging, also impacting Social Security. You know, how can Social Security keep up when like 10,000 people are retiring every day? And so I see that as a huge problem in our country. Right here, quality of environment. We have a huge consumerism culture, right? Make money, buy a lot of stuff, buy a bigger house, and just keep going on that cycle, right? You see people with mega mansions, more stuff, more cars, buying more stuff on Amazon. E-commerce is growing. It's because we're very consumerism driven. That impacts our environment as well. We're buying stuff, but you know, where's that stuff going when we don't use it? It's being thrown out in trashes, even food waste, waste with like paper products and things like that. That all impacts our environment. And so we have this huge consumerism culture, and then we got to address that as a root cause, right? Not just like the problem where we're generating a lot of waste, but what's driving that waste that we're creating. And so this is gonna keep going out. I'm not gonna talk about all these points right here, but you're like, why are you passionate about all these kind of things, right? Like why care about these kind of things? Why care about education and life and health? And why care about, you know, the environment and stuff like that? Well, I've seen a lot of things growing up. Like I said, my parents came here for the American dream. They were faced with a lot of hardship, you know, a lot of financial hardship, a lot of hardship with understanding what they got into. They didn't understand how taxes worked, you know, what are income taxes, what are capital gains taxes, what are property taxes. Nobody gets taught that kind of stuff in school. And so they didn't know any of that kind of stuff. I studied business, accounting, and finance, but of course I was never taught the fundamentals myself. I thought, okay, if I study all these things, I'm going to learn all these things, but I never did. Until recently. I personally got into high college debt, high credit card debt. You know, there's all kind of debts out there. Medical debt myself too. The first time I went to the doctors when I got my first career, guess how much my medical bill was? $10,000. And I was like, wow, this healthcare system is amazing. I just went to the ER and I got a bill for $10,000.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing there's a huge problem here in America. I worked for a nonprofit as well for 1 year. I saw a lot of programs were being funded, but not for the right causes. A lot of people are getting funding, but are we tackling the root problem, the root cause of some of these problems? Watch a lot of people in real estate not able to retire or stay retired, or they had to sell their homes, or they couldn't give their kids their property because they couldn't afford anymore. They couldn't afford the Bay Area when they got older. So I see that there's American dreams at risk. You know, it's not really called the American dream right now. I feel like it's called the American nightmare. There's a lot of things going on. A lot of people facing. All right. Anyways, these are my campaign solutions. I will elaborate the next speech and go into more detail about what I will do, but look out for me, 2030, 2040, guys.
Great, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
So Hannah manifests herself as another E. Please give ourselves a minute for one feedback to Hannah. So now we are on to the second section of the meeting, which is evaluation. And to conduct that, we're gonna have our general evaluator come up. He's a longtime member of the club for a year plus, I believe. Let's welcome Jose as our general evaluator.
Thank you, Wilhelm. So in the evaluation phase, we're gonna have Jennifer and Hannah is gonna be evaluated. Our first evaluator is Mohammed. He's very, very detailed in the way he evaluates and gives a lot of insight and very useful and very helpful for our speakers. Again, let's bring our hands for Mohammed. Great.
Thank you, Jose.
Yes.
So thanks, Jennifer. That was really interesting topic, and you started really interesting. You asked how many of you are 100% happy with your job, but 100%, I think the answer is always obvious. But I know what you meant. So you made us think about our situation now, our career, that we are into that. And that was really interesting that you emphasized that passion for picking a job is the third and then you started talking about the CS test that is we can take it online. That was really interesting. Encourage us to go and search it and take it. And the benefits of that, we learn about ourselves and we learn about other people. And that was great that you had the example of yourself, that you mentioned that you are E, which is a leader, and you mentioned Tony, he is E, he is I, means that he is investigator, but he's not C. He's not conventional organizer, but you didn't say what you are not, so that wasn't fair.
That's true.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. You used like the example, explain about yourself and Tony, and how people can share responsibility. If somebody lacks some capabilities, another person can. So it's part of learning about them, like sharing responsibilities. And at the end, you encourage us to take the test. That was really good closure. And you had really good eye contact, and also you were walking around. That was really good. But one thing about that, I expected to hear about when you were talking about CS, there are like letters out there. So I wish I heard a little bit about each one. So these are the like different like categories. You mentioned about E, I, C because it was yours, and but that was good to just hear about what is R, what is S, and that could help. Then that was good learning for me. Then another thing is that that's my problem too. It's like vocal variety and voice. Maybe you can increase the volume of your voice, and I'm not good at it, so but that's why I try to think about it. So but overall, it was really informative talk, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to take the SCS test. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you. Thank you. So for the next evaluator, it will be Tony. He'll be evaluating Hannah. Again, Tony is also very, very insightful in this evaluation.
Thank you, Jose. Who's I'm about to evaluate a presidential speech, which is I haven't done it before. One of the things that like I feel fascinated the most is actually the story about kids listening to your presidential campaign when you was at school. I think kids didn't get it, you know. Something so profound that they don't laugh because they don't get it. So don't be so sad and don't kill your dream just because people don't get it. Okay, let's move on. And the second thing is, you know, sometimes what I observe from a typical presidential speech is that they make things very clear, and you also know that the speed of your speech usually too fast for people to really get into your words and really internalize what you have to say into the emotion and feelings. So when you listen to your speech, it's very easy to understand, but it takes a little bit deeper sense of speed control for the people to internalize the feeling of what it really means for them. And also to an add-on that is the breath control. So when you speak, right, try to take a deep breath so that you can endure a longer sentence without losing your breath in between the line. I didn't catch any like grammar mistake in your speech, which is very good, and this is a good example for the presidential campaign, right? And also I really like the way that you told the story is very vivid. It's also the good way for you to demonstrate what is really happening by showing the map, by showing graph, the picture and everything for the people who just hear about it the first time can understand and visualize what is the topic that you're talking about. So I really like to speak in general, and thank you very, very much for your presidential speech. It's very valuable.
Those were good evaluations. I picked up on a lot of some of the topics that, and how to expand topics and how to present and express yourselves properly. Those were good. And so I will return control to the Toastmaster, who will introduce our table topics.
Thank you, Jose. Now we're gonna go on to the third section of the meeting, which is table topics. And we're gonna welcome our table topics master, Arun, to come up and conduct table topics.
Hey, you want okay. So today's theme is thriving under change. So I like to start off with asking somebody, volunteer, or I may volunteer you, about giving an example from your life or maybe somebody you know, from about some individual whose circumstances changed and then they started thriving on that under the new set of circumstances. Anyone would like to volunteer?
Yeah, I can volunteer.
Oh, Tony.
Oh, so thank you very much. I haven't checked it yet. So.
Oh,
Awesome.
go for it.
Yeah, the general appearance or the way that you manifest yourself to the world you can see is actually reflect what is happening inside of you. And when I look at my profile picture on Facebook, I can see exactly what things happen. And I think the most important thing that happens to me is the journey that I have with Jennifer. So since you walk into my life, everything has changed. I start to wear suit more regularly. I eat less fast food because I can cook more, and also I have a chance to talk to the more professional people. So that's in the environment about her, around her. So I have a chance to talk to them, and I learn a lot more from that since I met her. And that is the big change in my life, and I feel like I'm thriving with that change, just like trees with the sun coming. That's it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Tony. That was very insightful. So my next question is more of an abstract question. And what do you think are the risks or traps people face when facing a changing situation that people can find themselves in? Jose, would you like to take that?
Okay.
Can you please repeat the question?
So the question is, what do you think are the risks and traps in a thriving, in a changing situation that people can face, and how should they handle it?
When there's change, there's always, I think the first thing that comes to mind whenever there's change is it something you desire or expect or actually detect or actually take a hold to be aware of? And I think awareness is one of the most biggest problems with change. Basically, it has to, what's the word? Manifest. It has to manifest into your actual consciousness to actually adapt to the change. So I think the first challenge is actually identifying it, and from that identification, you have to think about how it affects you, right? So it has to be something you see, and then how it relates to you. And some people value change in a positive or a negative manner, and so that's also links into how it motivates you or demotivates you or becomes a challenge. So perception is the next thing, right? And then from that perception, you have to bring about what you know, what resources do you have to adapt to that change. And so it's an ongoing thing, but I think it's very important that you are aware of things around you, right? Don't let the everyday habits overtake you. I think if we're all trying to be open and trying to have different perspectives of how things are happening around you, I think you'll adapt to change much better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So my next question is, how would you coach a younger version of yourself to handle change? Star, would you like to take that question? Sure.
So if I was talking to a younger version of myself on how to adapt to change, I would tell the younger version of myself that to embrace change and to expect it. Change is one guarantee in life, and I think many of us resist change because we become comfortable with our current circumstances, regardless if the change is good or bad. I have this conversation with my husband often, and he's so adverse to change, and I tell him, you know, you're so adverse to change that you'll stay in something even if it's bad because you don't like change. And he never realized it. So I would tell myself to embrace change, good or bad, and that the outlook that you have on your life may not turn out, most of the time doesn't turn out how you're going to expect it. So the more you embrace change, the more you roll with the flow of change, the more that you adapt to the changes, the better things will be for you. So that's what I would tell my younger self. And just to know that it's going to happen, it will happen, and it's probably happening right now, even if you're not realizing it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. What qualities do you think a leader should have when faced with a sudden change? Would you like to take that?
I think the most important thing about the change is that to understand it, because when there's a change, the first thing that comes to our mind is we try to just make decision based on the assumptions that we have. Like any change, we quickly jump on some assumption it's bad or good, so then we quickly make decision. I think the best thing is for any change, personal or professional, is that try to dig into that, what is that change, and validate our assumptions that we have, because sometimes the assumptions that we have are wrong. We think that if that happens, it's really end of the world. But when you dig into that, it's that first of all, it's not the end of the world, and there might be some benefits, and like anything, there might be some pros and cons. So I think the best thing is just first we need to understand the change, and based on the understanding the change about the change, we can act on that. So I personally think that change is not end of the world. That's, I think, how the leader should act to that.
Thank you. Okay. Somebody else like to take the same question? Jennifer, as leader, what do you think?
So what's the question again?
The question is, what qualities do you think a leader should have when faced with a sudden change?
As a leader in the organization that we are doing right now, I also see a lot of changes. There's sometimes the changes, like Scarlett said, is happen right there, but you don't know. So the most important thing for a leader is to sometimes You be in the front line. You conquer things. You manifest. You fighting. You be a leader of everyone. But at the same time, sometimes you need to step back. You need to embrace the other younger leaders in your team to be the leader themselves and to observe how they do, giving feedback, giving advices. Because you can't be there every time, right? You want to have a crew of leaders to fight with you, and one person can't do everything on him or herself. So the first is step back and observe. The second one is to embrace the change to help your organization to lead and to succeed. I think the second, but not less important, is how to embrace the calmness when things happen, when risks occur. I really like one of the leaders' quote. It's very easy to be difficult, but it's very difficult to be easy. Once things change, when difficulties happen, take a deep breath, embrace the calmness, and sometimes take it easy. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So I think we're out of time. And I will return now control to the general evaluator.
Can we finish a little early today so that I can help people to understand?
Sure,
this?
sure. So we'll go through the duty masters, please. First, the timer report. Timer.
Oh, that,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
For speakers, Jennifer, you spoke for 5 minutes and 12 seconds. Hannah, you spoke for 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And for evaluator, I spoke for 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Tony, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. For table topic, Tony, 1 minute. Jose 1:47. Star F1. Is your name Star?
Yeah.
Okay,
Starlet.
I didn't
Yeah.
yeah.
I call
1:02.
Scarlet.
Star. 1:02. I spoke 1 minute and Jennifer 1:30 seconds.
Thank you. And then for our grammar, do you have a grammar?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, grammarian. So first for Jennifer, I got the 2 grammar mistake in the tense. She said it's demands, the should have s, and then do you can find, so if you use the can or do, either way, not both of them at the same time. And repeated, said repeatedly is in passive voice form, repeated. For other people, I don't know why I didn't catch any grammar. Is that I missed them or they were too good today? I couldn't catch it. Yeah, so we all like you.
You're
Thank you.
fired.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. For our word master, Arun.
Honestly, I didn't catch a lot of people, but I did catch Tony. I'm sorry, Tony and Jose and Wei-Ming
And Jennifer.
and Jennifer and.
Yeah. Not me. You don't forget. She's the best.
Thank you, Starlet.
So yeah, good job, everybody.
Thank you. I did the R counter. For the R counter, I didn't catch a lot of R's. Although I did catch a few for myself. I had 3, and I hesitated a few of my words. Tony, I only heard 1. Harun 1. Hannah 1. Starlight, I think the only extraneous word you used was you know, and that's it. That's all. But can't counter. Yep. And what else? Do we have a joke master? Yeah.
So let's just say,
Who is the bad counter?
simple joke.
Mhm.
Today at the bank, an old lady came by and asked me to help check her balance. So she was showing me the checkbook, but then I was thinking something else, and I pushed her, and then she fell.
Thank you, Rodney. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
I got it.
I was worried about the balance.
And for just a short general evaluation, we started out kind of late because we start out late. We have a lot of for initial organization we have to do, which is something we have to speed up on. The speeches, as far as the evaluations, both evaluators did very well. It covered a lot of topics. Although I highly encourage evaluators to go through, put it in, when you do your evaluation, put it in your perspective eye, right? For example, if Jennifer didn't say, fair to clarify her points, say I failed to see some of your points, or I failed to see a few more expressions from you in terms of your hand, kind of is eye. So that's the only feedback I get. In general evaluation of the speeches, Jennifer was more. There's a lot of topics. I think both speeches had a lot of challenges in that your speeches did have more than a lot of topics, right? You have different letters, and then you also had a lot of topics, which is a very challenge to cover. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and then okay. So I return control to the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. To embrace the theme of the day, strive to change, I would like to bring something like a small exploration with our club. So let's all stand up. This game is called The Party. Now you see around the room there's 6 letters. So 6 letters represent each of the group of people that what is the most. There's a tiny little bit sentence down the letter. Please take turn to read it and stay at the corner that is most correctly with you. So let's start.
Oh.
Yeah, you read everything and then you stay at the corner.
Yeah. Okay.
That letters.
Okay.
Some corner might be more crowded than other corner.
Yes, some corner will be more crowded than the others. Which corner of the room that most drawn to you?
I already know because he said. This also.
Don't tell me that there's none of these, because you must stay at one.
There's like 2.
So the one that most resonate with you right now, the biggest interest that you have. Mohammed is unidentified flying object. You are all right. Want me to?
What? No,
You find one?
we're gonna go in between.
So in between a couple of topics.
In between? No, you need to choose one. Thank you, Harun. Alright, so we have, so you are I or A?
I, yeah.
Am I?
I? For I?
More I.
Wow,
Wow.
you surprised me.
It's like,
Investigator. You must be a spy.
I'm not sure.
Harun, you
I
have
think I remember
5 more
I did
seconds.
This test. And I think I kind of know this, but This is for I.
All right. So we have 4 I, 1 E.
No, 2 years at least. 2 or 3 years. You 2, yeah, you haven't moved.
You stay there. You stay
I
there.
know, I
Don't
know.
move. This is the army. 1 S and 1 C. Okay, remember this. So this is something that spark your interest the most, right? So now imagine that the people in your party, they move to another party. So find the second party that you like the second best.
I'll second
Move.
that.
So there's no one is realistic.
This one.
So Starlet move from E to S.
From
Jose
I to
from
R.
I to R. Realistic. Tony Mohammed move from I to E. Enterprising. Hannah move from social to enterprising. And Waming, the shortest move from I, investigating to autistic.
Mm.
So now imagine that the rest of your party move to the third one. You are the only one remain at the corner. So join the corner that have the people that you like to join them. So you move. Whoever feel like you know what is your third choice, move now. And then the rest, you find the corner that have the people that you like to join them. You move to.
Oh, okay, I think it's okay.
So now the crowded one is E. Jose, Waming, and Harun, you realize that the third letter that you have is enterprising, entrepreneurship. Hannah, besides enterprising and social, you have realistic. You like to work with tools, you like the reality, you're practical, yeah, with hands. Starlet, besides enterprise, social, you are investigative. You like to solve problem. And Mohammed, besides investigative entrepreneurship, right? You have artistic inside your blood. So besides having to put $10 in the test, you now know your 3 codes. This is the 3 codes that embrace your personality and help you to know what's occupational group that you can reach to their best potential. So I encourage you all that go into online and key in your code, put in Holland code, and find, besides your current job, what else out there that you can also be happy. And thank you everyone for giving me some time to explain all the letters that I fulfill what Muhammad gave me in evaluation. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Beautiful. Actually, Starlet, you have same with Tony. 3 codes. Yeah.
Well, okay.
And I'm surprised that Hannah have the R. I know that she would have the E and the
I
S.
might go over here.
Yeah. There.
So it goes IRS.
IIS. And And sometimes people change too. I do believe that I used to have a lot of A, but the more I do business, the more I know that I need to organize things and be conventional, following the details,
Right.
following other people's instruction. So my score in A and C is actually equal.
Okay.
It's the job that teach me that way. So we need the volunteers for next week, and next week, can we do the Halloween theme? And I encourage you, if you have a Halloween costume, something simple and nice and fun, please dress in Halloween costume. I would do it myself. Yeah. Even a
Okay.
hat, a cape, or anything, right, to make it fun.
Okay.
With that, who is the Toastmaster?
I can be Toastmaster.
All right. I would like to be the table topic master. So please note that down. Do we have any speakers next week besides Waming? Waming, you're the third speaker, right?
Yeah.
I can be speaker.
Okay, Muhammad. Yeah. So one thing about Starlet, right, which is still our guest, I always have the feeling that whenever you speak for the table topic, I'm so craving to hear you more. So I want to hear it longer. So I wish that you can make the decision
So I
to
brought
join.
my paperwork. I just have questions, so I'll ask you afterwards.
Yeah, sure. Because it's a magnificent here now that we have a handful of members, and we can practice as many times as we want, right? Because before we have to wait until like months to be able to have a slot. I myself challenged to give a speech every other week, because whatever we practice here, we can, utilize it, get the evaluation from evaluator, brush it up, and make the speech. And then you never know, right? You can be on a bus, talk to someone. There will be a conference, a team meeting, or a person that you want to inspire, want to persuade them. So whatever we learn in this room is really helpful out there for you to explore. And with that being said, now is the time to have the announcement for the winners today. Yay! Best evaluator come to. That's why you need to be back, Muhammad.
Wow.
It's you. Wonderful evaluator.
Thank you.
We have a tie for best table topic. Let's come again to Starlet and to myself. But it would be you to receive this. And best speaker, Dora, please. For me. Tony, can you, the VP will hand over the ribbon. Thank you.
And also this one too, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alright, 1, 2.
Thank you, everyone.
Good.
Thriving with change. Go out there and
Thriving with
embrace the
change,
change.
right.
And bring back with your insights, your freshness, your humorous, and your excitement for our next Halloween theme next week, next Wednesday. Looking forward to seeing you all, and I dismiss today's meeting.